Okay.
Yeah.
Put a preface to this. I'm very happy that the students responded very positively to the exercise of attending a web seminar, online seminar, and presenting the report. I must say that I was very, very encouraged by the quality of the presentations, at least 95-98% of them. Yes, there are some things which can be improved upon, but that's the whole point in doing this exercise. This exercise has two objectives. One is to expose the student to some, the international studies and the latest development in their field of interest. But the second, if not more important objective is to improve the communication skills of listening.
Madam, sorry for the interference. Your voice is not audible, madam. Breaking. Your voice is breaking.
That's a connectivity issue. We will have to. I'm on 100% this thing, so we'll have to switch off the videos and speak. Then that's the only.
Now it is okay, madam. Now it is okay.
So I'll switch off the video. So I will start from the beginning. If it hasn't been audible, just one. Please see if I can. Yeah. So I'm very encouraged by the students who actually went ahead, looked at the web seminars, and submitted their report. The quality of the report is very encouraging. There is always room for improvement, but that holds good for everybody, not just students. So the objectives were twofold. One is to listen to international speakers or latest developments in the field of interest in maritime or otherwise. We had widened it enough to say that we could listen to any webinar. But a more important objective was to ensure the enhancement of communication skills, which means the ability to listen, the ability to grasp, the ability to internalize what they have listened to, and the ability to express themselves clearly. So expression is in two parts: clarity of thought and clarity of expression. The clarity of thought is about the listening and the grasping, and the clarity of expression is in both in writing and orally. So the written expressions have come in, and we have selected a few of the what we consider very good ones to be shared on this platform to look at communication skills. And based on this, I expect the directors and the heads of department to guide the students on where they can improve the communication skills. We're living in an international world, and the pandemic is going to make competition even more severe. And in today's world, communication has become extremely important. It's not sufficient to just have the knowledge and the skill, but the ability to communicate. So this is the background against which we thought we should encourage students to even talk to the professors, to the vice chancellor, and to their fellow students. This does not mean that the others are below par. It's just a random selection of 6 people. Those who have not been asked to present today, I think their input, their output has also been extremely good, and I would only urge all the students to keep improving upon them upon their skills, both the technical skills in their field of choice as well as communication skills. With these words, may I request Pawan Joshi to start the presentation, please.
Sure, ma'am, sure. Ma'am, my name is Pawan Sumant Joshi. I am from IMU Vizag campus.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I am... yeah, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Sure, ma'am. Hello?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, are the PPTs visible, ma'am? Are the PPTs visible? Anybody?
Yes.
Sure. My topic of case study was nationalist civilizations shipbuilding. Now, why I have named it as a nationalist civilizations shipbuilding is whenever a ship is built, It is built according to a particular geographical identity, a particular geographical location, particular waters in which it will work, or particular according to a particular significant area. With respect to our civilization, this shipbuilding activity commenced from very early stage. And why nationalist? Nationalist is an geographical identity for us, because when we look back in history, we will see that there are riverine routes that connect from Bengal province to Samarkand in Middle East, which connects Indus Valley to Varanasi. These are named as Uttarapatha, Dakshinapatha, and not named after kings or queens, or not patronized, but these are Uttarapatha. They represent a particular geographical area. That's why I've named it as nationalist civilizations shipbuilding. Then what I've done is I traced the journey via three P's. The past we forgot, the present that needs to be understood very well, taking in consideration of past, and pioneering times of shipbuilding we can thus predict to bring.
particular geographical area.
The Indian art of shipbuilding is as old as the oldest civilization that can be traced. That is our Indus Valley civilization itself, and its date is still debated. Every route, since ancient to modern, namely from silk and incense route to modern day Indian Ocean region routes, mark how dominant India is at epicenter, and it would not be very superficial to say India was at epicenter of events that defined our world today in 21st century. Ships were classified and studied in much greater depth according to their purposes and designs, much before than any shipwright ever existed. Shipwrights came way later. They came in 12th, 13th, 14th century. But we had Navadhyakshas. We will see what those mean and what those did. Indian ships were made watertight not by using any iron joints, namely nails or tar like that, not heavy joints. A separate Sanskrit text named as Nilloham, that literally means without iron, described advanced joining techniques like the use of wooden towels. And still today, many of the experienced people or many of the experienced fishermen use a technique wherein they take a cotton thread, dip it in fish oil, and try to put it into grooves, and they make layers after layers of such joint, and it becomes watertight up to the level of going into sea. Strict distribution of work was done in treaties Arthashastra by Chanakya aboard ship. That was the importance of maritime trade in those times. In form of Navadhyakshas and steersmen with strict duties, schedules, and contracts that were present in early times are seen till date. Till date, we have contracts for operating ships and all that. Around 320 BC, when Arthashastra was written, special focus was given to inland waters. A separate chapter was descriptive in it, where the principles for operation, safety guidelines, and customs-related information. Such was the importance of that particular chapter that even daily routine of Navadhyaksha was briefed. Then I may venture into non-documented sources, but I will just restrict myself to documented sources in my whole case study. The first is Muziri's contract. Muziri's contract is a contract of operating a ship. It will halt at the port of Muziri, that is a Keralite port. It is a Greek ship that will halt at Muziri's port, take some food grains and all that. And Genesi letters are letters that are technical writings on how Indian shipbuilders built ship for Arabs. Such high level of commercial shipbuilding and operating practices were present in ancient India. The place where all of it was born has long ago forgotten the advancements we carried and the possibility of emerging advancement if these all are taken into account. Exactly which period, which cultural breakthrough, or which administrative policies provided necessary boost, and how should we regain the glory of our indigenous industry? The most tricky thing is here quantifying a phase, because an historical phase is very long and complex thing. You need too much amount of data. So I'll quantify the Indus Valley phase first, and I'll quantify in depth later on. I'll just overview all the phases. World's first inland tidal dockyard with gates having astonishing capacity of docking 60 ships of 30 tons at that point of time. 60 ships of 30 tons with well-designed anchorage to avoid siltation, gates to control flooding, also considering effect of seawater on bricks. Still today in modern harbor structure, these things are of utmost importance. And that's why it is also a debate that whether this Lothal was at all a dockyard and whether it was a bathing tub or not. I mean, why they'll construct a bathing tub with gates? While they'll at all give a bathing tub means, ma'am, there were people who questioned this also, but now it has been proved that these are dockyards. Ships that docked here would also have been the mightiest of their times, and indeed they were the best of their times. Ship structure was classified and studied as a common subject. Synonyms like now, Peru, Di, Druma are still commonly heard in native languages. My native language, we call it now. But what unfortunately we forgot and ought to be remembered and practiced was keel was called as Nautala, hull surface or expanded area was called as Stula Bhaga. Now, Stula also represents stability. Rudder was called as Kenipata, sail was called as Vatavastra, mast or poles were called as Kupadanda.
One second, Pavan,
Yeah, ma'am.
you've been told that you have only 7 minutes for the presentation.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
So you'll have to know how to present your salient points of the report. In 7 minutes, you've already used up 4. Okay?
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Okay.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, these words still today can be used as slash, and these words will have an impact. Ma'am, the first phase of ancient ships, though were very primitive, but they had ladders and cabins. They had heightened stern for navigation compared to modern day line of sight requirement. They had sharp keel, which is needed modern day also. And if not, that's not enough. Considering the timeline wherein palletized cargo, containerized cargo is taken as seamless transport, it is to be seen that jar fragments were found with Harappan writings in Persian Gulf, which were basically containers that were used to transport perishable goods. And though proven, it hasn't been pictured that way by anybody up till now. The methodology which I am using, I am reiterating H.P. Ray's fact, who stated that it is important to take broader approach towards maritime history, also by taking social practice of maritime technology like boat building and sailing techniques. With each historical phase, I am assigning a particular pointer or a particular implication factor to it. What amount of maritime technology development happened in that factor, such that I can plot a graph, and that graph can give us better idea of how actually we shall develop our maritime technology or our country. Now the consideration which I am proposing are the first phase being Indus Valley phase. It was a very good phase. The second phase being early Vedic phase. It was not very influential in terms of maritime technology, but influential in terms of physical sciences. Our social structure changed. We moved towards Gangetic plains, but riverine trade remained intact. But 4,000 years ago, Rigveda stated maximizing profits and all that. Ships made of wooden planks tied by coconut coir, often referred as hewn ships, were classified and studied in depth, and Mediterranean counterpart were mesmerized by the structure and size of ships. One documented evidence is King Bhojanarapathi's text on shipbuilding, that is Yukti Kalpataru, a technocratic exposition on techniques of shipbuilding. Today also we classify our ships on same basis, just we classify it in English, that's all. Samanya, Vishesh, Dirgha, Unnat, Sarva Mandir, Madhya Mandir. It was an era of Roman drain of wealth, they say, because Rome was actually in Yemen, in Socotra Islands. There are Sanskrit inscriptions of how to build a ship. Then there are many, like the most important finding which I found was in 15th and 16th century, when shipwrights came to India, they were awestruck by huge ships and all that. Portuguese famed explorer Vasco da Gama, when lost his track along the Cape of Horn of Africa, in a quest to find India, he was held by an Indian vessel which was docked at Omani waters, and though he was held by Indian vessel in international waters, seaworthiness of Indian vessel was questioned at each and every point, like in Strabo's account or Pliny's account. The worst phase. Now the worst phase. Only in this phase in history there was a declining of all technical advancements India had. The colonial government brought to India many technical advancement. It is accepted widely, but questions still remain whether the technology was the need of the hour or product of heavy industrialization. Essence can be found in Chanakya's Arthashastra, wherein riverine trade has given much importance. But what chronic mercantilism did, it didn't want even localized competition. They wanted to evict competition from any Indian thing, and rivers would have been played a dominant role in localized competition. Hence, they wiped out rivers also. The Great Bengal famine of 1770 is still attributed to mismanagement of transportation resources at hand. And at last, this phase shook very base of indigenous shipbuilding. And when they realized that this industry had potential to start from scratch, they instead introduced railways in 1800s. And such shipping sector was lost forever. So my first conclusion is either we should concentrate on a single sector, that is we should concentrate either on merchant or on military, 80-20, 20-80 in the ratio. 50-50 is optimal balance only in most balanced times, and are we in most balanced times is the question. And second is the colonial phase, rather industrially progress, never did severe impact on maritime technology, because sustainable development goals and now sustainable engineering, these aren't Western concepts. These are Indian concepts. Indians respected nature way back when people weren't even imagining of that. And this is the graph that I tried to plot. And here, whenever a country is associated strongly with any naval might or with any trade might, it has shown some significant increase in country's GDP as well as in country's economy as well as country's might. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Pawan. Thank you. So we can close this presentation. And, open the forum for questions for a few minutes. Faculty, students can post questions on the YouTube. Is somebody monitoring the YouTube from the IMU side?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. We are monitoring, madam.
So if there are any questions, you will have to read it because those here cannot see the question.
We will place that question in the chat box.
Yeah.
That is, after that, presenter has to answer that questions, madam. Till now, we have not received any questions, madam.
So if there are no, how many students, how many people are on YouTube?
Just a minute, ma'am.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, can I ask Pawan a question? What made you choose this topic?
Ma'am, this topic I chose because I love reading history, and I thought that why not to do something with respect to maritime history.
Very good. Are you aware of the Maritime History Society?
I am aware of National Maritime Foundation, ma'am, who does research in these things.
Yeah.
They are headquartered in Delhi.
No, but you're not aware of something called the Maritime History Society, which is headquartered in Mumbai.
No, ma'am, I'm
You
not.
should definitely get in touch with them because they organize, seminars on this maritime history. And one of them that I attended was presented by a retired Rear Admiral on ancient navigation systems. Very, very, very. Yeah, so please look them up. There's a Commodore Johnson who'd be very interested to, in the subjects that you're talking about.
Sure, ma'am, sure.
What is your background?
Yeah, ma'am, I have done my BE in mechanical from Aurangabad, Maharashtra, BAMU, and I have come here for MTech in Naval Architecture and Oceans Engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube, how many people are there?
Madam, 183 students, madam.
Okay. So all the 183 students, none of them have a question?
Yes, madam. That is, they raised some other issues not related with the presentation, madam.
Okay. Please put in a remark there saying they should raise something on, very related to the topic of presentation.
Okay, madam. Okay.
Otherwise, it will be adversely noted.
Okay, madam.
Yeah. Okay, if there are no questions, no faculty member has any question, anything to ask the student? No interaction at all? I would say then the faculty is not listening.
No, ma'am. Very good morning, one and all. Pawan, I take this opportunity to congratulate you. It's a wonderful presentation. As a student, you impressed everyone. those who are attending the meeting. It's a really area to touch and do the research. Because as you rightly said, India is the pioneer in shipbuilding. Again, we have to bring back. I really appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sure,
Pavan, I
sure.
want to know what is a shipwright? Who is a shipwright?
Shipwright, in olden days, the ones who made those wooden ships, they were known as shipwrights. The one who
Okay.
actually
Oh,
made it.
okay. Do you know, are you aware which are the centers in India which make wooden ships even today, which not just
Uh,
ordinary fishing boats, but wooden ships which go into the high sea?
Ma'am, there's a center in Gujarat, Bharuch. And those are on the verge of extinction, ma'am. Something needs to be done for them because they make ships that are marvelous. I have seen Dainik Jagran even covered their plight 4 years back.
It's not just Baruch, there's another one in Mandwa.
Mandwa, yeah, Mandvi shipyards also.
They make 1,000 tonner wooden ships which go up to Middle East.
Yeah, ma'am. And
And I've
ma'am,
actually seen them manufacturing it with fish oil and no joints and nails.
yeah,
They
ma'am.
still grow.
I wish I could do something for those people because Indian right now I am doing internship in a company which makes inland dinner cruises and all that.
Okay, that,
So
it's very ideal
those people
for,
can
yeah,
those people can be used here heavily, ma'am.
yes. There are two more centers in India, by the way, Pavan. There's one near Tuticorin, which still manufactures wooden ships which go to Mauritius. And there is one near
Okay,
Calicut. So
okay, ma'am.
there are, and Indian, the Merchant Shipping Act India, or
Yeah,
1958
ma'am.
of India, is the only shipping act in the world, only maritime authority which recognizes the existence of wooden ships and allows them to sail out on the high seas, and actually has a regulation for it.
Ma'am, I haven't gone through that, but I love to go through now. After I'm known only act, I love to go through now.
So this is it's so originally these when the wooden ship had problems post independence, the government of India then gave permission for them to import dates from Iran. It was reserved for these wooden ships from Mandvi, and in turn exporting things from Gujarat to Iran. But after the liberalization in 1990, there was a problem because they said everything is liberalized. That's why they are facing problems. So please, you will be interested in looking at that history also and to see how policies can be, can be reformed to mutually beneficial levels. Yeah,
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Sure,
very,
sure,
very
ma'am.
nice that you presented on the history of shipping. People forget that and they live only for the commercial and mercantile aspects. Thank you so much for that. Best wishes.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure.
One side, Ms. Pavan,
I think there's one question.
Yes, sir.
There are
Yeah,
two
yeah, ma'am.
questions, in fact. One question is how to incorporate Indian history in modern times to get efficiency. I'm not sure whether you can answer that question though.
Ma'am, my whole
Yeah,
presentation
I
was
could,
dependent on that particular aspect that
yeah.
we can know exactly in which phase uh, how much high the pointer was or how much high we had gone, and from that particular phase we can take out different aspects or different factors influencing that particular maritime technology, and that can be implemented in present day. So
I think
it,
yes,
it would
go ahead.
it would require the study of whole phase, and that whole phase study itself requires large amount of data and large amount of research to be done.
You're a,
It's just an raw idea that I'll assign pointers to each phase and study each phase particularly then.
you're a very good candidate for a PhD.
Can I come? Pavan,
Yes,
do you know there
yes.
is something called Indira Gandhi National Center for Archaeology?
uh, no sir, no.
Okay, they are running a huge project called Mausam. In that, they are trying to document all our ancient history, trade routes, ancient ports, nautical archaeology related sites, data collection. Anyway, I'll get in touch with you.
Sure, sir. Sure, sure, sir.
Further to study in this area.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pawan. Excellent.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you,
Mr.
ma'am. Thank you very much.
All the best. Mr. Giridharan,
Thank
we
you.
can go to the next student. Mr. Giridharan?
Next student, Miss Priyanka Kamble.
Okay,
Yes,
so I'll also put my camera on and my audio on, and I will go with my presentation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, can you everybody see my presentation?
Not yet.
Okay, it's getting presented now.
Yes.
So can now everybody see?
No. Now we can see. Now we can see. And you've got 8 minutes to make your presentation, Priyanka. Introduce yourself. You are student from which campus, etc. Yeah.
Yes, 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 ma'am. Okay, so myself Priyanka, I'm student of MSc Commercial Shipping and Logistics, and my presentation topic is opportunity with maritime cloud. So let's first see what is cloud. So cloud is a service provider which provides us with application storage and processing of these data, and typically all of this happens via way of internet, and it's on and pay you go basis as and when demanded by their clients. The cloud service provider just provide them with their services, and accordingly they charge to them. So here I would like to give you an example which we are now using as a student in our online lectures. We are using this Google as a platform where our lectures have been conducted on the classroom app. So our lectures on Google Meet and the attendance on classroom app is everything is getting saved in Google Drive, and even our notes and even our presentations and assignments are getting saved in the Google Drive. So classroom and Google Meet here act as an application, and Google Drive which gives it act as a cloud which help us in storing all our information. And even if we want to increase the storage capacity, we can pay Google for that. So now let's see which are these cloud service provider. These are topmost among the cloud service provider which provide the cloud service storage to the companies. Now, as per Gartner, as per their report published in August 2020, Amazon Web Service rank among all of this first in providing the cloud services,
Hello.
and followed by rest of it. And now when the maritime industry uses the this company's cloud services, maritime cloud. Now let's see that which are the maritime industry using this maritime cloud. So first we have vessel charterers where the ship owners they give the ship on the hire to the charterers. Then we have the commodity traders who deals in grains, zincs, etc. of commodities. We have commercial voyage operators like CMA, CGM, Merck's Line. Then we have the topmost Cargill company who is leading in dry bulk commodity production and trading. Then lastly, we have companies like British Petroleums and all other tankers industry who have been using this maritime cloud. Now it is very important to understand that when we use this cloud services, then who manages what? So the green one represents the company manages and the blue one represents that it is managed by the service provider. So let's first understand these terms on the left hand side. First is application. Application is basically the software which the company uses to do its day-to-day activity. Data is all company related data. When the application is run, it is called as runtime. Middleware is generally a messaging software used by company. Operating systems like Microsoft Linux. Virtualization is basically when through one servers two and other servers can be managed. Servers are hardware and software. Storage is storage of the data, and networking is integration of all of this. So when we didn't had this cloud, so in traditional days, we can see everything was been managed by the company itself. But then we had this SaaS as a cloud services, and slowly our companies operation or department started outsourcing. And now currently we have been using this SaaS as software as a service where everything has been managed by the cloud service provider, and all of these cloud service providers are upgraded with this SaaS. Now we will see that how the maritime cloud architecture looks like. So this is the cloud. So where the ship information from the ship will get transferred to this cloud, and there are the stakeholders and other service providers who have been registered on this cloud and who transfer all the information from their department in the cloud, which can be used by ships, which can be used by stakeholders or service provider, anybody. So this, because of this, cloud is becoming an open source network to anybody to access the information, and it becomes a big communication network which everybody can access, and it is just a boom to this digitalization world. So now let's go in deep into it. Like we will see that which are the companies which are providing this maritime cloud services. First, we'll talk about the company Westling. Westling is a maritime system providers. They have their product of IMOS and the cloud which they call it as a Westling. And this Westling cloud is controlled and managed, and everything is done by Amazon Web Services, and currently they have their hosted regions in Northern Virginia, Islin, and in Singapore. So now how does it work? Let's see. This IMOS platform can be used by charterers, can be used to do their operations. Even finance can be managed by it. Even the business analytics can manage through it. Now, what all they can do on this IMOS platform? So, firstly, if suppose it is a chartering company, then they can manage their trading activities on that. They can do their vessel scheduling activities on that. They can manage the fuel related activity. They can manage their barging along with the feeder vessels. They can settle their insurance claims on that. Then they can manage the bigs and the small vessels. They can also manage the alliances activities where three companies to get together and they share their resources, and even the LNG company can use this IMOS platform. Now, how it is linked to the cloud? So this from both the end, from the IMOS and from the vessel, the information by just one HTTP links gets stored in this VES link, which is a cloud, and there is no installation of software which has been required on the board for this. Even just by one mail the information can be sent to the Westlink, and it will get stored in the cloud. So this was about Westlink. We will talk about company Maya. Mans Maya is energy solutions. They are not only into providing services to marine but also to power and energy industry, and basically they
Priyanka,
enables the integrations of. Yes, ma'am.
you finished your 8 minutes. Can you wind up in a minute or two? Remember, this is part of the exercise of discipline of presentation. Try and finish.
Okay, ma'am. Just give me 3 more minutes.
No, 2 minutes and that's it.
Okay. So they Months Maya is basically into the integrations of OEMs, and recently Rolls-Royce has signed the memorandum with Maya to use their platform. So this is how Maya structure looks like. So I'll give you example in this form. So there is a like ship engine information, then we have pump information, then we have this other ship information. Together it is called as edge connectivity layer, and when we combine this engine information, we call it as engine volt, then pump volt and ship volt. This is a platform layer, and what Maya do is they integrate all the information, they create graphs and securities, and this can be used by shipping lines and OEMs and other ship owners by this app interface. So lastly I'll talk about one more company, Consberg, which have developed their vessel insight software. They believe that a lot of data has been created on the ship. So by these 5 processes, they have improved the vessel utilization. So what Vessel Insight do is, firstly, they collect the data has been created on the ship, which is called as data sourcing. And on the ship itself, there is a software Quantify Edge in which the data is captured and processed. And once the ship get connected to the internet, then the information has been transferred to the cloud, which is called as data transmission. And in the cloud, the information gets stored, and then it can be accessed by the stakeholders, the third parties, and the marketplaces. So this was about the maritime cloud industry. Now, what prompts the company to start this cloud computing? So there is a scale from 0 to 10. First is faster deployment. That is, company don't need to build their own infrastructure. They can have the ready-made infrastructure in hand. Then there is outsource of certain operations from the IT department. Then they can increase their RAM storage as and when demanded. If the cost relating to this is very less, then they move from capital to operating cost. That is, they just pay a monthly amount as and when agreed between them. Then there is a cost saving in the in-house staff, and also there is a strong cyber security which is given by this cloud computing services. And lastly, I will talk about what stops shipping company from using this cloud data. So first is lack of knowledge. So here I will just like to give my point of view that just by having a cloud is not important. If we don't know how to use the information from the cloud for the betterment, for the efficiency of operation, then it will not satisfy the goals of this cloud computing. So it is in certain companies there is no training been provided for that. So because of this, it creates an obstacle for using this cloud data. Then second is the cost factor. The certain companies cannot afford the cost to pay for their service provider, so they don't go for that. And even there is a lack of securities and trust issues. Company don't feel secure to give away all their data. So this was all about maritime cloud, and this is our future of shipping. We will have shipping 4.0, where we will have better cyber security. We will have automatic ships, automatic terminals, better stimulation, cloud computing, better internet access. So thank you.
Okay, very good, Priyanka. Extremely good, but you have to learn to. If it's 7 minutes, it's 7 minutes, and that's it. 8 minutes was
Yes.
you've taken a full 12 minutes, and that is, you have to learn to uh, limit your time to the time given. Yeah. So, any questions, Mr. Giridharan, on from the faculty, from the directors, from students?
Madam Kisnendu Das from Calcutta campus, I have a small question you have.
Yeah, sure.
So it is a good system because we are using this on a modern maritime systems as for so many data related to not navigational side and engine room data is also transmitting. Just my question to that, for all these cloud computing and all this cloud use for the maritime domain, some maritime identity registry most probably it is required and for this to entry in this system. So that I want to clarify from Priyanka.
So sorry, can you repeat your question?
For using this maritime cloud and data, because every time so many navigational data, engine room data is also transmitting, and other data is also, that is a stakeholder as well as owners can enter from their head office and all these. For these, every identity is required. So maritime identity registry by this vessel as well as owners is required. Am I correct?
Yes. Identity is very important. The users of the users who all have been using this information, they get
Correct.
registered on this cloud, and on their identity only they can access all the information from the cloud.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a question.
So there is this question in the chat. Is there
Yeah.
any advantage that the traditional existing system hold over the cloud system? So I have read about it. Even the traditional existing systems can hold a cloud system. They just have to, like, there are some wires which are been extra wire or some setup which has been done by this cloud industry on the like previous ships, on the traditional ships. So yes, it can be done. um, just a way, another kind of setup is required. So there is one another question. Ship to shore happens via satellites, which very expensive. And how low bit transfer data for cloud to be real time? A lot of data must be transferred. How to tackle the problem? See, as I talked about, the data storage is not even a problem in the cloud, because the service providers are so much strong in giving the RAM storage to the industry, that they just need to pay a sum of amount, to like extra sum of, if suppose I want to increase my 12 GB RAM to 32 GB RAM, then just a request has to be put by their clients to the service
You can,
providers.
sorry for interrupting you. The question, what he is asking is the data transmission cost rather than storage.
So sorry, you're not audible.
The question was
Okay,
related.
Priyanka, it's not for storage, but what will be, how is real-time data, a lot of it to be transferred between satellite and ship? And related to the previous question, which is what is the cost of the marine cloud in terms of operating cost of ship? If you can answer both together, it will be easier.
Okay, cost is, I don't know exactly, but I feel that the cost is very less. The cost of operation will be like 10% something. It will not be more than that, or it can be even less than that. And 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 what was the second one? The real time, a lot of data must. So yes, we can transfer as much of data from the ship, from the even the backend department, or even from weather department. We can transfer the data in the cloud, and even the from the cloud, the information can be sent to the ship, to the weather department, and even to any other departments who are been registered on this cloud. How
No, no,
secure is
see.
the system? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Go ahead, complete it. Yeah.
Okay, how secure is the system? Mostly the cyber security part has been looked by the service provider, and it is very much strong.
Okay. I think you've answered the best questions very well.
It
Thank
is
you.
strong. It is strong.
Okay. And reliability is also good.
Yes, reliability, integrity, everything is good.
Okay. Thank you,
Uh,
Priyanka. We've run out of time. We have four other presenters. Thank you so much for your interest.
Madam, can I add for 2 minutes? Once very small ad, if you give
Well,
permission.
we can do this, but then we'll have to cut off one speaker. It's time
No,
bound.
no. Okay. Go ahead.
I think we should go to the next one. Yeah, you can.
Okay, thank
I
you for
would
giving me
suggest
this
that.
opportunity.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. But if you have anything else, I think it's a good time to connect with Priyanka, and that will it will build her confidence also in the future when she goes for a job. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Giridharan, the next one.
Next one is Gursimar Singh.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please proceed.
Yes, Simar Singh.
Yes. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Respected Vice Chancellor, respected Directors, Registrar, Controller of Examination, Head Academics, Head SMM Indian Maritime University, Chennai Campus, Heads of various departments, respected professors, faculty members, and my dear friends. Good morning to one and all present here. I am Gursimar Singh, student of MBA Port and Shipping Management, Indian Maritime University, Chennai Campus. It's a great pleasure to interact with all of you. And today I'm going to talk about the impact of SARS-CoV-19 on e-commerce. On November 17, 2019, first COVID-19 case got registered in Wuhan city in China. And thereafter, pandemic got declared after some time, which affected more than 200 countries, including 6 crore 70 lakh people throughout the world as of now. And in the wake of the same, many webinars organized by various industries, and hence on 26 May 2020, a webinar was conducted by Ecom Engine on this subject, some interesting challenges for brand owners during COVID-19, which includes the fantastic team, including the Greg Moser from ShipPalm, Sajag Agarwal from Mowley, Liz Adamson from Buybox Experts, and Jerome Degun from e-commerce. And following are the key points discussed in the webinar, that is about the advertisement on Amazon, ensuring the quality of the products and protecting the brand equity, improving the efficiency in shipping and logistics, and determining if is it the right time to launch in the international marketplace or not. So let's take it one by one. The first point is it worth advertising on Amazon? Since the pandemic have started, it's been a wild ride for the world and made people financially so unstable that their focus shifted towards fulfilling the basic needs. And hence people adopted the new lifestyle, people who always trade outside their homes are performing from home. And we did not saw this coming. First of all, this is a small analysis. In the first semester of MBA, we studied the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it is the practical application in this scenario. Like if we see in the graph, we can see due to the sudden rise in the demand in the initial phase of the pandemic, the local grocery stores failed to fulfill the demand of the customers, and it is evident from the graph that there is a huge spike, grocery related e-commerce. And if we see these two graphs again, these graphs shows that people were planning for long-term quarantine. As we can see, the sales of the medical equipment and baby products has been increased by 500%. And in the next graph, if we can see when the pandemic got declared, in the very first week, the sales was for the different segments like 54%, 78%, 179%, 34%, and 19%. And when we see the first 4 weeks of the pandemic, the sales has been rise. So these are some suggestions given by the Adamson. Since the focus shifted towards the fulfilling the basic needs, hence even if the keyword is most popular one, and if it's not generating the profits for the organization, then the organization must need to think about it twice before investing it again. And there must be the new ways to retarget and resegmenting the markets and the people. And the companies must think in a new way for the branding and sponsoring of the products. And the most important one is they never undervalue the power of an optimized listing. Like if anyone is uploading the pictures on the e-commerce, the images must be of very high quality, and the information about the product must be complete, accurate, and relevant, so that the customers must feel confident enough to buy the product. After that, quality control and supply chain management. Since the costs are a lot less predictable these days, as we never know when the next disruption might occur. Hence, during these unprecedented times, an organization must expect unpredictability and must be ready for it. And after that, if we see the second point, if there is any way to protect the business from quality control, let's say if we consider an example of any of the company who is procuring the raw material from any of the neighboring countries. Now, since the routes are totally closed, hence the vendors need to think about the procurement of raw materials from their own country. So if there is quality issue with the raw material, then it is sure that the final product quality will be deteriorated. And if the vendor is going to sell that product, he's going to get the negative reviews for the product for sure, and this might affect the quality of the product, and this is quite evident in Amazon from the review section. After that, SKU regulation. Uh, SKU stands for stock keeping unit, and it is simply the barcode which the companies use for the tracking up of inventory. It is beneficial for both for the customer as well as for the organization in order to track the inventories. After that, how to improve shipping efficiency. There's been increase in the negative feedback from customers, as it is evident from the review section in the Amazon. So how we can improve the shipping efficiency? Like, first point is fulfillment by merchants. If the small vendors are present within the country, then we can take help from the small vendors so that they can fulfill the demand of the customers, so that the customer will be satisfied that the delivery will be on time. Or they can also use the costly routes such as UPS or FedEx courier services, as they have the dedicated inbound services within most of the countries in the world. So they can use these ways to improve the shipping efficiency. Now, important questions come like, should you expand to international marketplaces right now? Not. From my side, it is definitely yes. As even the if we consider any small shopkeeper even whose turnover is, if we say, 15 lakhs to 20 lakhs, so we can see it is quite evident he also want to go to the online these days, as the customer reaches even more. And if he wants to launch any new product, we can see as compared to physical store, only we can see maximum of 200 to 300 people can come and see the new product in a day. But if we launch an e-commerce platform, we can see most of the India or even worldwide, we can launch the product within single day. So it is the most beneficial part of the e-commerce platform. And after that, omni channel. If we add e-commerce platform with the physical stores like Apple is doing, this is the omni channel. And one of the most important point is importance of communication. If you rectified all the problems regarding quality issues and everything, but if the Spanish people don't know English, if we say, so what's the point of delivering the product or presenting the product? So it is so the most important thing is the language. So the companies must hire a professional to help create product listings in the local language. Like, the Google translator is not enough for any of the product. At last, I want to conclude from seller's point of view as well as from the customer's point of view. If we consider seller's point of view, during this unfortunate situation, he or she must take proper measures to form the product, reach their customers. Even nothing is clear in terms of safety, security, and almost everything. But this shouldn't hinder the efforts of the vendor, and if not eradicating it completely, he or she must attempt to minimize it. And if we consider the customer's point of view, during this time, sitting in a room and making a click and expecting the order to reach on time as it used to be isn't right. As customers, we should understand all these things, and keeping a patience is must. Sending negative reviews or bad reviews and low ratings would only worsen the things in the e-commerce. And as a loyal customers, we must keep our faith intact.
Okay.
Now there is a little exception. If we talk about OTT platforms,
I think time is up, Simar.
Yes, ma'am. Just 30 seconds, ma'am.
See, we said 7 minutes, we gave you 8 minutes. I think we have to learn. This is something Indians have to learn. How to make a presentation in 5 minutes and tell your story.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. At last, ultimately, the great lesson that COVID-19 teach humanity is that we are all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Simar.
Any questions? Any queries?
No queries at all. I expect some directors and faculty to test the students' presentation.
Yes, Samir, I don't have a question. It's a nice presentation. Only thing I would suggest you means if you can extend this one. It's a nice thing. It's a nice presentation. Actually, Indians, we have a tendency, we prefer to buy by seeing something, by touching something. Now, as we have seen in your presentation, that during this COVID period, this internet marketing means this e-commerce business has gone up. So if you can extend this one a little bit by measuring the customer satisfaction during this e-commerce means this COVID period, how customers were satisfied with the delivery, with the product, with the quality, with the price, and all these things. I think that would be a nice research job you can do it.
Yes, sir. I added that point. Like Amazon was not able to fulfill the demands of the individuals within this specific period of time. So the people were not happy, and it is quite evident from the customer review section in the Amazon website.
Okay, Simar, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
This presentation is based on a webinar that you attended, or it is by your own research?
Ma'am, it is the secondary data, and the webinar which has been attended, it is all about that.
Okay. Now, we had given a framework saying that what were your learnings from the webinar professionally and what were the learnings on the personal front. Would you be able to share that thought with us?
Yes, ma'am. At last, I concluded with the point from the seller's point of view and from the customer's point of view. After listening to the webinar, we must analyze the things. And from seller's point of view, he must means it is nothing safe in terms of quality and security these days. But this shouldn't hinder the efforts of the vendor, and he must attempt to minimize it.
Okay. Any personal learning from attending? Was this the first webinar that you attended, or you've been attending a few of them?
Ma'am, this was the first webinar which has been attended by me, to be honest. And
okay.
If we talk about personal learning, like I think there must be the more and more sellers within the country, so that these problems wouldn't arise easily.
No, personal learning is different. You're still pointing out a professional learning. What did you learn from attending this webinar? Personally, on the personal front, did it influence any thinking on the personal front as a student, as a human being?
I'll get back to you, ma'am, for sure about this.
Because see, your observations, that's why even in the framework, I had said, what is a professional learning? There are sellers and buyers, and there should be more number of sellers. That's an excellent professional learning.
Yes, ma'am.
But every time we attend a webinar, we learn something on the personal front also. For example, did you learn how to make a presentation? What points to focus on the personal level? That's what the question
is. Ma'am, I'll get back to you soon.
Okay, there are 2 questions on the chat box if you can answer that. What should an e-commerce company do to gain faith of customers who are first-time buyers on such platforms?
Wait a second, just a second. What should e-commerce company do to gain faith of customers who are first-time buyer on such platforms? Well, first of all, with the point I discussed, that is optimized listing. The product images must be of very high quality and the information must be complete, accurate, and relevant. I mentioned it earlier also. Hence, the customer will feel confident enough to buy the product. And once the shipping efficiency will be good, he'll get the product on time or before the time if the product will reach, and the quality of the product is adequate. The customer will be satisfied with the product, and and the company will be able to retain the customer very easily. The second question is, how do we certain accessibility to a large portion of who will live in having no net connectivity? Slowly and slowly, our government is working hard to enhance the net connectivity in India, and the time is very not so far when most of the Indians will go. As we see, the e-commerce is growing every day. Hence, the time is no far when the rural people will also connect with e-commerce platforms very easily.
Thank you so much, Sima, for taking the trouble to attend the webinar, give the report, and make this presentation. Wish
No,
you the
ma'am.
very best. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We can go to the next presentation, Mr. Giridharan.
Cadet Ayush Sharma.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
So I'm presenting. My screen is visible. Is everyone seeing my screen?
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
When the whole nation was under lockdown and everything came to a standstill, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, on the day of 12th May 2020, gave a historical speech in which he said, 21st century is India's century, and the only road to this is Atmanirbhar Bharat. A very warm good afternoon to everyone present here. This is Ayush Sharma, fourth year BTech cadet of Indian and Maritime University, Mumbai Port Campus. I will be sharing my thoughts that the road to vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat goes through maritime sector. I would like to thank our VC first, Mr. Dr. Malini Shankar, my director, Mr. Sumi Saralal, and my HOD, Mr. Hayramare, for supporting me in my presentation and my research paper. So, talking about maritime sector and the vision to Atmanirbhar Bharat, well, I am not the only one who shares the same belief. Our Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar also saw the same maritime sector as the hull for India's growth. Now, quickly moving on to a brief topic about India's coastline. I will give you a few details which we all know. India's coastline. India is blessed with a long coastline of over 7,500 kilometers, with 12 major ports and 187 minor ports, which acts as a checkpoint for our trade. Geographical location, which is very peculiar for India, advantaging us to have an open access to markets of Southeast Asia, Middle East, Middle West Asia, Africa, and even Australia. And the fact we all know that 95% of our trade goes through by sea. But that doesn't mean everything is going well in our shipping industry. Certainly, we haven't been able to reach our optimum level. And there are certain aspects which we need to discuss about, certain problems and solutions for them, which I have researched upon. So let's quickly moving on to the next slide. The financial aspect. India has been facing slow and sluggish tax regimes. The changing taxes structures have been very slow. I mean, if you look at comparing with China, which started with us the same journey with our independence, they have reached to high levels because of opening access to their markets and reforming their tax structures at the right time. Survey shows that trade through Indian ship owners is 6 times costlier as compared to any foreign company. And the reason for that are various taxes levied on us. We haven't been able to gather foreign investment. Since 1997, the government has opened the maritime sector for 100% FDI, but we haven't seen such huge investments in them. Although, as a matter of fact, we have been losing our own companies to foreign competitors. Our own companies are thinking of chartering and even docking their ships on foreign lands. We certainly put an excessive nirbhata on foreign transshipment. see, the present regime has been thinking about relaxing the restrictions on cabotage routes, which provide an edge to Indian ship owners for coastal trade. And the changing of ROFR clause, right of first refusal, certainly makes it as a compromise formula because the government is trying to balance between the foreign ship owners, and the domestic ones. This chart shows us how drastically there is a decrease in the tonnage capacity, tonnage carried out by Indian classification of various Indian ships in the past 1 decade. As you can similarly see, there is a decrease in oil tankers and dry cargo bulk carriers. Only there is an increase in dry cargo liners, which is a very alarming factor for us to understand. Now, this is what I call an economic cycle, which seriously needs to be implemented, and we are on the aspects of it. Introducing a simplified tax structure, and GST is one. One nation, one tax structure simply encourages the investors to follow us, to see us that they can easily do business with our country. Changing the slab from 18% to 5% has gained us in the last in 2 3 years a very much high percentage. More policies need to be reformed for our taxation because even a 5% tax structure can incline these investors in either direction because it's a very competitive market with high volume and low margin. We need to scrap all our irrational cost and taxation charges. We need to certainly empower Indian shipping industry. Policy formulation should be maintaining a balance between our domestic players and even the startups and the foreign players. Maritime Development Fund. You all know that any new player coming into this sector needs heavy investment, and certainly good funds from the government or either liquefied loans from the bank sector can help them flourish in this sector. Infrastructure is the second aspect which I would like to talk about. Infrastructure is the asset for any country, but certainly it has been able to global 6.6 breathes heavily on an annual revenue of 230 million. A survey shows that over 70% of our domestic transportation somehow heavy for us to understand. Shallow ports at the Indian coastline are a huge drawback, limiting the big vessels to come our side. The average age of Indian ship is over 16 years as compared to global of 12 years. Certainly, age is just a number, doesn't go apply for Indian shipping. As you can see, maximum majority of the ships are above age of 20 years, and majority lies in 16 to 20 years. This is a serious issue which we need to look upon. The Indian ports are inequipped in terms of cargo handling and terminal capacity. Our sluggish process of handling the papers and processes has certainly gave a bad impression to the global market in terms of our cargo handling capacity. The lack of infrastructure has certainly affected container shipping the most, leading to 45% of our transshipment from foreign ports, such as Colombo, Singapore, and Salalah, which is not at all a good sign for us. Now, coming upon to the key aspects of our government, the various projects, the Sagarmala, the highest ambitious project for our maritime sector, which aims to have a capital investment of 1.42 trillion. Project Green Ports, which aiming to use eco-friendly and natural wind power systems at our ports. National Industrial Corridor Developments. Roads are always a good sign for our progress, and healthy roads are definitely necessary. But I would like to emphasize on waterways. You all know about highways. Yes, sir?
Sorry for the interference. That is 1 minute is more, you have to conclude accordingly.
Okay. Inland waterways. So market share of inland waterways and coastal shipping is very less as compared to other modes. In this graph, I can seriously show that 80% is gone to roll and rakes. Certainly, we need to look upon, and it's very cost effective as well. Certainly, halving the price for other routes. Gujarat Maritime Cluster is another aspect which aims at providing all the facilities at one point. human resource, something which we have in abundance, and we would like to utilize maximum out of it. But as a seafarer, I would like to ask a very serious question. Do we have attractive proposals for us? If you get an option to choose a domestic company or a foreign one, which one will you choose? I certainly believe you will choose a foreign one, and I don't blame you for that. Our competitors are at a higher level than us, and we certainly need to make adjustments according to it to be at par with them. Socio-political aspect. There is a raw thought democracy. Democratic approach may sound very appealing, but certainly it needs to keep in mind various stakeholders like land acquisition, the environment project partners, and even the opposition as well sometimes. Partnerships I would like to talk about. Private partnerships are certainly an important aspect which need to keep in mind. Now I would like to talk about international partners. India
I
having
think
a very
Ayush, your time is up. That's see when we say 7, 8, your time is up.
ma'am, I'm just about to conclude. Just 1 minute. Just one more minute, ma'am. International partners, every kind of country, certain gives an edge for our trade partners as well. Just having good relations with other countries makes us even more feasible. Like landlocked countries, Nepal and Bhutan can access to Indian ports. Investors from Europe. India needs all. In conclusion, I would has risen high, has gone through some serious hardships, and we seriously looking for ways to make a change. And we, being the youth, certainly need to look out for ways as well and be a part of it. Just one in the it is the recent update I would like to say. The government has been visioning the same blueprint for 10 years, and it's a very recent development, so I thought I should add it for everyone to know. They are looking for ways to make that development fund, port regulation authority. So we are certainly on the right track, and we, being the part of that
I
execution,
think
need to implement
that's
them. And we,
Ayush, you'll have to stop. See,
yes,
I request cadets to, abide by the timelines that are given. Indians are being criticized for just liking their own, to hear their own voice, whoever it is. I think we should learn when to end and what to cut when we end. That's part of the learning experience of this presentation, which is why this is not
agree
an
to say,
exam.
ma'am.
This is not an
I just had
evaluation.
a one opportunity. Sorry, ma'am.
When we say 7 minutes, since we said eighth minute is okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that very comprehensive outlook, report and presentation. Did this come out of a webinar or did you do your own reading?
Ma'am, I did my own reading. Actually, it all initiated with the speech of Mr. our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, like how our maritime sector can contribute.
Okay. So, thank you very much. Any questions? Any observations? I think there is one question. If you can look at your chat box, Ayush.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Does India have the necessary infrastructure, both port and ship owning for coastal shipping as on date? If yes, what are the main hurdles faced to implement coastal shipping in India? Yes, we certainly have that facilities of having that coastal shipping sectors in India, but we are not able to optimally use them. We are over relied on road and railways. And the market share, if you see about the transportation share, it's only 6.4%. And India having such a nice drainage system, it certainly makes us more approachable for India, for coastal shipping as well as for inland water transport. Okay. Uh, is satisfied with my answer? And the next question: What should
Yeah.
what should be three top priority to achieve excellence in maritime? So I have talked about actually four. The first four are the main ones. The financial aspect, we need to look upon the tax regimes. We need to certainly simplify them. Second, the infrastructure should be focused. Third one, the human resource. We need to have more skilled mariners. We need to have more skilled laborers. That's why everyone will focus on India. We certainly don't have to send our seafarers on foreign companies or foreign ships. Our own India can become independent with all these measures taken appropriately. Any more questions from anyone?
I have a question for Atmanirbhar. One of the factors that has been identified by the shipping ministry is the cost of logistics to the exporter to trade. After all, if there is no trade, then there's no need of ship. So, do you have any ideas of, have you looked into what is the supply chain and why this cost is so high?
Yeah.
And it does, yeah, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, definitely. Why the transportation is so high? Certainly, we haven't the taxation. First of all, we put heavy taxes on our domestic companies.
Other than taxation.
Other than taxation, ma'am, our slow process makes us low to approach and heavy investments required. We haven't been able to use our digitalization as optimally we required to do it. Then the second aspect. Further aspects, I am not completely aware, but I would like to know more about them as well.
Okay. There's another question. Will Atmanirbhar Bharat reduce international trade with India?
Definitely not, sir. Definitely not. In my perspective, if we are independent, everyone wants to join to us. Because, sir, India is the eyepiece of the whole world. We have the second highest population. So everyone is looking at tapping us in terms of development, in terms of any ways to tap our resources. So Atmanirbhar Bharat will certainly initiate everyone to come and trade with us because we have something which everyone doesn't have, a huge population.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ayush, for the detailed presentation. You've done a lot. I can see you've done a lot of reading. Keep it up. Yeah, and all the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Giridharan, we can go to the next presentation.
That is Mr. Yogan Melvin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, proceed.
Is my PPT visible?
Yes. Yes, very much.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Johan Melvin, and I'm currently doing BSc Nautical Science from IMU Kochi. Today, I'm going to talk to you about autonomous ships. During our first semester, we came across the concept of autonomous ships, which aroused the thought in our mind that whether we would lose our jobs due to this booming technology. I'm sure that this thought must have gone through your mind at least once. And at the end of my presentation, I wish to answer that question. So there are three questions that we can ask here. What, why, and how? And to answer these three questions, I have gone through three different webinars by a company developing the technology, by a company implementing the technology in its fleet, and by a company who deals with marine insurance. So what is autonomous vessels? Autonomous does not mean unmanned. That's a misconception. Let us clear that right away. So in order to assess the scope of differing levels of autonomous ships, IMO has defined 4 degrees of autonomy. The lowest degree is completely manned and involves automated processes that can control the ship at times. The next degree is a partly manned vessel which is remotely controlled with seafarers still on board. And the next degree is an entirely remotely controlled ship without any seafarers on board. Lastly, the highest degree of autonomy is a fully autonomous unmanned ship that is equipped with the ability to make decisions and take actions by itself. So now that we know what is an autonomous vessel, let's now ask the question, why? Why do we need an autonomous vessel? Because it seems as if everything is in order, and what is the need for taking away so many jobs? But if we take a deeper look, we can see that the situation is not that great. According to a study, between 75 and 90% of maritime accidents are caused by human error. So if autonomous systems can help reduce the reliance on humans that make this mistake due to fatigue or bad judgment, autonomous ships could eventually make our ocean safer. And in 2018, IMO adopted an initial strategy on the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions from ships. The strategy envisions that the greenhouse emissions must be reduced by at least 50% by 2050. And some companies like Maersk have gone all the way to zero carbon emission by 2050. So for cutting emissions will be more expensive for the ship owners, and hence a way to cut costs and increase revenue was needed. And one of the ways was by reducing the manpower on ships. Operational costs are also expected to decrease as there will be little to no crew on board. Crew costs can constitute up to 40% of a ship's operating costs. So if there is no crew, then there is no need for accommodation, living space, air conditioning, AC, galley, nothing. There is no need for all that. That can be saved, and this money as well as the increased space can be utilized for more carrying capacity. So now that we know why autonomous vessels, let's see how they will come into action. Since there is a significant safety concerns, especially with the enormous size of most ships, there is a lot more testing to be done. Cyber attacks. While autonomy offers a solution to many issues facing the maritime industry, cyber security is one of the key challenges, and countering cyber attacks is imperative for every shipping company. Infrastructure, there will be a lot of changes in the port and as well as in the training of seafarers. Marine insurance. With regard to the legal frameworks, it is concluded that there is only insufficient for the startup of autonomous vessels because there is no enough data on what basis they will be assessing the liability. And the rules and regulations, the entire rules and regulations will have to be changed, starting with the call breaks, which requires a physical person on board on the bridge at all times. IMO has met and a committee has been formed where they review what all changes can be made. So the picture you see here is not a futuristic depiction. This is the port of Rotterdam as of now. And this is the port of Los Angeles. And this is the port of Shanghai. As you can see here, there is no humans inside. The robots have taken away the jobs of the port. So as you can see, the industry has started its shift towards automation. So how far have we actually reached? The Finnish ferry operator, Finn Ferries, has demonstrated the world's first fully autonomous ferry in a collaboration with engineering giant Rolls-Royce. The zero-emission autonomous container vessel Yara Birkeland has been handed over to Yara International last month. And the South Korean shipbuilder Samsung Heavy Industries has successfully completed a remotely controlled ship voyage. This is the Samsung T8 vessel. Let's have a deeper look into the bridge. As you can see, it is completely unmanned. The officer sits on a headquarters ashore and looks after the actions of the ship. The ship has inbuilt algorithms built into it who can take actions as on its own. So we are already in the transition towards Marine 4.0, which is the ongoing automation of traditional manufacturing and industrial processes using modern smart technology. So the shift towards automation shipping seems realistic now than how it was 5 years ago. Companies like Rolls-Royce, Kongsberg, ASCO Maritime, and Samsung Heavy Industries are the forefronts leading the charge on innovation. My previous speaker, Mr. Pavan Joshi, pointed out that India should aim to be a pioneer in shipbuilding sector. In a breakthrough order, our very own Cochin shipyard has won a contract from Norway's ASCO Maritime for constructing 2 autonomous electrical ferries with an option to build 2 more ships. That is a very, very thing that we can be proud of. And the technology exists to have autonomous vessels operational in 2-3 years from now, in short sea shipping and on inland waterways. Using autonomous vessels will give us the economic leverage to use alternate powertrains, and that is more important because we want to progress towards a low and even zero emission by 2050. And for us seafarers, certainly the jobs will start to reduce. But just because a new technology exists, not everyone is going to shift unless it is profitable. The return on the invested capital should be greater than the cost of capital. And if that's not the case, then they are just destroying their business. And that will only come with newer based ships. By reducing manpower, it does not mean that the human element is entirely out of the loop. It will start with the shifting the crew from ships to a remote operation center, which can be either on land or on board another vessel. This will be highly beneficial for seafarers as he or she can spend more time with family. That will make this job a very, very good job, and it will attract more into this industry. So I'll conclude. This is not a moment of asking whether we will see autonomous vessels, but it is a time to ask how fast we will see them. And we being a part of this industry, I hope it will be beneficial for all us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan, and thank you for finishing well within time. That's how it should be, in my opinion. So, there are questions which have come up for you on the chat box. If you can look at it.
Yes. Yes. First question deals with the cyber security. Yes, that is a very important field that we must look into, because the current situation itself, pirates are coming on board and ships are prone to attacks. If we shift to completely autonomous, there won't be anyone on board, and they're very prone to cyber attacks. So that is a field that is needed to be looked into. That is one of the key problems that faces the industry. Will it not drastically reduce jobs? Sadly, yes, it will reduce jobs. As we saw in those 3 ports, they have already started reducing. But as far as the world will progress, so it's up to us to either get on with it. If shipping world is ready for IMO level for autonomous ship, comments please. The shipping field is currently not ready because, as I said, the rules and regulations have to be completely changed. So it will take more times, and there are lots of existing ships. Those won't just go away. After their life has gone, the newer built ships only will be shifted to autonomous operations. That is the only profitable way. If any technical error happens, what is the plan B? If any technical error happens, that is the point that I got from the webinar from the insurance company. They don't know if an error happens, who should be blamed? The officer who's monitoring the ship, or is it the company who developed the technology? That is why an IMO committee has been set up, and they are doing great progresses in that field. How far Indian ports are ready to handle autonomous vessels? As far as ports go, there won't be huge changes required to dealing with autonomous vessels. Our ports, our country is very much developing. As I said, Cochin Shipyard is one of the who play an important part in creating these autonomous vessels. So as you can see, our shipbuilding sector is increasing, and I hope our shipping ports will also be up to the trend. In case of maritime accidents, how to mitigate the further damage since no human interventions are not there directly. Yes, in case of maritime accidents, as I said, a lot of the accidents happen because of human error, like they are tired or they're due to bad judgment. That won't be the case because at the shore, there will be more than one person to overlook these decisions. And these algorithms are built in such a way that if there is any chances of any collision or something is about to happen, anything comes up, it will inform the whole headquarters and the command center, and they can all jointly make an effective decision on that. Coastal shipping, especially area like Singapore Strait, is very feasible to have autonomous operations. In the traffic sometimes goes chaotic. Yes, that's why I believe the best way is to remove not to go fully autonomous, but just before that to have remotely controlled stations where as humans will always have an eye on the actions. There was a study by Coast Guard in which they pointed out that there are many cases where the humans are preventing many collisions or many accidents. That is not seen by anyone. So there is also a huge important role played by us humans also. Taking us entirely out of the loop is not the best way. In your view, how would the training needs of seafarers change, and what should be done by IMU in this regard? Yes, we should move as seafarers training go. Right now, our training, after we completed our college, we'll be going on board. That will be entirely, what do you say, not possible now. So what we can do is the command centers will be at shore. So as we are learning new technologies like ARPA, newer technologies as we are learning now, when the industry is we are only in the start of this transition towards autonomous vessels. In some more years, it will be more clear on how things are going. So seafarers should be trained to deal with computers. They should know what is this technology based on. This is based on AI and particularly machine learning. So us, we'll have to shift towards that. We need to know what is happening there. We need to know a part of coding. We need to know everything. So we need to know if something goes wrong. As seafarers being in charge of the vessel, we should know what should happen. And since it is at shore, like someone doing a presentation and us taking notes, at the command center also we can, as we have ship visits, we can go to where the command centers are and we can take notes on how the actions are. Can you put more lights on economic feasibility of autonomous ships? Yes. The main important thing is that shifting towards autonomous ships are very much economically feasible because we are shifting seafarers from the ships. We are taking away them from the ships. So the large space of accommodation areas, they can be utilized for carrying capacity. The additional charge for the seafarers as well as the maintenance of air conditioning, galley, food supplies, those all will be reduced. Around 40% is the operating charges which can be reduced, which means the profit is going to increase greatly. But initially, there will be a lot of costs in setting up this. How do we manage in cyclones or adverse weather conditions? Yes, that is a very, because when cyclones, now itself, there are parts of the world where we cannot even get, we are not even connected with the ships. So as the world is developing, as one industry develops, the rest of the industries also go up. So once the information technology and more satellites are available, it eventually benefits us also. So there is a long way to go. So certainly for us, we need not fear if our jobs will be lost, but for the future generation, that is a thought. But it is also beneficial as we are shifting towards the land. That means we are not out at sea for a long period of time. We can be with our family. So it makes this job very more interesting. Yes, ma'am. So is there any more questions?
I think obviously you've done enough studies to be able to field a whole volley of questions is what I would say, and generated quite a lot of interest. So thank you very much, Johan, and excellent presentation, and all the best in whatever you are doing and hope to do in the future.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Giridharan, we go to the last presentation.
Yeah, last point.
A very good afternoon to respected VC ma'am and all my respected faculties present here. I am Varnika Pal and I would like to introduce myself as a third semester student pursuing MBA in ITLM from Kolkata campus IMU.
Okay.
I would like to present my PPT now.
Yes, go ahead.
Is my PPT visible, ma'am?
Yes and no. Have you started?
Yes, ma'am. Is my PPT visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the topic that I would be talking about is
You can't see your topic. Your screen just says you're presenting to everyone. That's all.
Ma'am, let me fix this.
Yeah.
Ma'am, is it visible now?
No.
No, Anvika.
Please stop it and then restart.
Stop presentation and try again. That's it. Works.
Okay, sir. Now is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so the topic that I would be talking about is the role of artificial intelligence in supply chain transformation. So I attended this webinar on 10th September. It was conducted by Locus Reimagining Logistics, and the speakers were Darzia Pizent. She was a director of supply chain, and Dinko, director of supply chain and logistics in Consium. The agenda of the webinar was to talk about artificial intelligence in supply chain, evolution of supply chain, and how COVID-19 impacted supply chain, also the future aspects of supply chain. So before moving on to artificial intelligence, I would like to define intelligence in general. So intelligence basically means learning and understanding and using the knowledge learned to achieve our goals. So artificial intelligence was basically found in 1955, and since then we are hearing all the optimistic reviews of it. If I define artificial intelligence in a very simplified manner, then it is the capability of machines to execute complicated tasks by exhibiting human-like intelligence. So the supply chain concept. Basically, supply chain is a system of organizations, people, activities, information, and resources involved in supplying a product or a service to a consumer. In a very simplified way, I would like to say that it is an entire system of producing and delivering a product or a service from the very beginning to the delivery to the consumer. Companies develop supply chains so that they can reduce their costs and also remain competitive in the business. So AI is now being used in supply chain, which is making it much better and better day by day. By using virtual assistants like automated applications or AI-driven machineries, the AI is making supply chain more automated. Like the virtual assistants will help in placing procurement requests, will speak to the suppliers, will help in inventory controlling, and also communicate with prospective clients. According to the research and markets, AI-supported supply chains are being 45% more reliable with fewer error times during on-time delivery. So, the artificial intelligence is helping in demand planning, also with the warehouse management in the operations, is helping the customers by providing excellent customer service and also the last mile deliveries, which helps in reducing the errors and are making deliveries faster. Artificial intelligence can allow exceptional agility and precision in supply chains because all these tasks were earlier done by humans, so there were a tendency of making more and more errors and also took more time. So if we are using artificial intelligence in supply chain, then it will make the entire process very faster and also very precise, reducing the lead time and also giving much better results. The application of application of artificial intelligence in supply chain management. The first one is chatbots for operational procurement. So the chatbots, we all have come across chatbots in some of the other apps like Myntra and also Amazon. So the chatbots are used in supply chain to send actions to the suppliers, to place the purchasing request for raw materials and also for the goods. Also, they are used for filing documentations like receiving and filling invoices, machine learning for supply chain planning. So machine learning is basically a system that it helps to learn and improve the system with the experiences. So the machine learning can help in supply chain planning by forecasting the inventory, the demands and the supplies. Machine learning for warehouse management. So the machine learning system can again help for forecasting and managing the inventory in a warehouse. Also, it can help to minimize the supply flaws so that a product can reach to the customer in a well-noted time and much better condition and what the customer has expected. We can maintain the needs of the need of a customer. So lastly, autonomous vehicles for logistics and shippings. So autonomous vehicles are self-driven vehicles and we can use them in supply chain for reducing the time for faster and more accurate shipping, and it also reduces the lead time and transportation expenses. Also, it is a very environment friendly way of delivering products to the customer. Talking about the evolution of supply chain, the entire supply chain is now increasingly changing because companies like Amazon, Flipkart, they have promised next day or the same day delivery to a customer from which a demand norm has been generated, which is helping the supply chain to evolve. Supply chain is evolving. So there are technologies like artificial intelligence, which we talked about in the first slide. Also, blockchain. Blockchain is basically a digital ledger and automation. All these things help in supply chain transformation as it helps in systemizing the part to improve the processes. So basically, we are using the technology to centrally manage and improve the efficiency and optimizing the entire supply chain process. Impact of COVID-19 on supply chain. All of us know that COVID-19 has drastically affected every business, every sector, and every human life. So during the first days, initial days, it was very difficult for people and for the businesses to trace the
Varnika,
incoming
you will
product.
have to wind up now. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So it was very difficult for people to trace the products. So it became a very haywire process, and the demands were basically increasing for some type of goods such as face masks and sanitizer and hand washes. So we saw a new purchasing pattern in which the shopping list of people were changing, and also the places from where they were buying. Also, our supply chain manufacturing department got affected because for some type of demands were increasing rapidly. The future of supply chain is becoming complicated because the customer demands are growing. So we have to use AI to help minimize the mental stress, to make decisions, and to reduce the pressure on manpower, and to make the whole chain very efficient. So the future of supply chain is basically in automation, and technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, robotics, and remote operations will help us to improve every day in supply chain processes. Thank you.
Thank you, Varnika. There are some questions if you would like to look at the chat box.
Thank you, ma'am.
Would you like to
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So basically, the first question is that mainly it is cloud-based with vast domain activities, so it requires high and expensive bandwidth for this system. Yes, sir. So AI is definitely very beneficial for supply chain, but this is a disadvantage of AI that it will definitely needs a very it is a very cost oriented process. So the company have to be very financially strong so that they can apply it to artificial intelligence to its processes. Do you think AI is a means or an end? If it is an end, what are focus areas in the future?
That's a tough one.
Yes, ma'am. And I didn't understand. Do you think AI, artificial intelligence, is a means or an? So I think that artificial intelligence is it is definitely a start for supply chain, and and it will do wonders because it will help us in every way. Currently, I am doing my internship in a company named Delivery, and so I have seen people struggling to get their orders on the time, and because of coronavirus, and it has affected all the sectors of supply chain. So I think that AI will definitely help us, and in future we'll see great results. What are the two revolutionary changes going to come in supply chain after extensive use of AI? So, first one, it will help. It will improve the efficiency. So basically, it will improve efficiency, as in we can reduce the errors, and we can reduce lead time, so that our entire process, it can help the consumer to get their products on like in very less time, or same day or one day delivery. As I mentioned, that Amazon and Flipkart are offering such deliveries that the person can order the place an order, and if you are talking about e-commerce, and he or she can get its product on the same day or the next day. Also, I think that it will help us in optimizing the supply chain, and it will help us in improved safety. So basically, as like supply chain is a process, and it's getting better, like, and organized every day. So it's very necessary for us to maintain workplace safety. So I think that artificial intelligence will make safer environment for people to work, because the growing number of machine and robots will definitely eliminate the risk of man-made incidents that happens in warehouse usually. Is India up for changing supply chains? Yes, I think definitely, because supply chain is something which is used every day. Whether like, for example, if I'm ordering a chair, and so the supply chain has been arised when I have demanded for a chair. So it will definitely raise my request, and from there onwards, after the demand has been raised, the supply chain processes starts. And I think in every country, and also in our country India, it like supply chain is up for like India is definitely up for supply chain changes, for making it much more reliable for the customers and providing the better and the best. What about trained manpower in India pertaining to the latest technologies, including AI? Sorry, sir, I didn't understood your question.
The question would be that, do we have enough people trained in artificial intelligence to manage the supply chain?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, so definitely, ma'am, we'll have to have people which are trained in artificial intelligence, so that we can use the knowledge for supply chain transformation. And for this, we have to look into some procedures for which we can aid our manpower, so that they become trained and help the supply chain to grow.
Good last question.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Finally, man or machine, who is going to dominate in the future? So I basically think that artificial intelligence does not mean that it will replace man, because I think that humans have a very positive thing, that their brains are very creative. So we cannot expect that from artificial intelligence. I think that man and machine would definitely go hand in hand, because artificial intelligence will not make people lose job, but it will definitely change the job roles. So I would like to conclude that man and machine would go in hand, because we need creativity in some or the other way to help achieve competitive advantage in our businesses. So definitely man and machine should go hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent point at which to end this entire web presentations. I would like to, and I'm very, very encouraged to see such good presentations. The students who've done some research, listened to webinars, done some literature survey, also picked up topics which are, very, very contemporary, as well as heritage, which has a lot of relevance. Very encouraging indeed. My best wishes to all of you and my compliments for good presentations. I only hope that you are part of a majority and not part of a minority. And before we close this session, I'll take a minute or two to get the students to give us feedback on what they thought of this exercise to be mandated to listen to some webinar or to take up a topic and make a presentation, one. And second, what other exercises would you think will be useful for the student community in the future? I want if the if the cadets are still there, student Yuhan is there, Ayush, Varnika is there. I think there are quite a few. So if you can share your thoughts freely on whether you found this useful and what else can be done to improve the skills, the employability, and actually the knowledge and the content of the student community.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to answer.
Yes, please, Varnika.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Ma'am, I think that the entire activity was very, very nice because as we were sitting at our places and we had almost nothing to do. So, like the online classes were going on, but apart from them, to sit in in a four-walled room and doing nothing, and there are people who are working outside. So we are still lagging behind. So we have to step into the industry one day or the other, like very soon. And so I think that attending the webinar made me learn a lot because I think listening is a skill. So to listen to a webinar, it was like a very good thing. And then noting down the points, it helped me change, it helped me adapt the changing scenario because now almost everything is going online. So I think it helped me a lot. I learned a lot, and also this presentation made it helped me to boost my self assurance and the confidence in self. So thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity.
Do you have any ideas on what other exercises can be taken up to improve these skills of knowledge, application of knowledge, or even improving your confidence and improving communication? What other things can be taken up?
Ma'am, I think presentations can be one thing. Also, we can allot a lot of topics regarding our fields so that people get to know about like the topic that I chose, artificial intelligence. It's not known to everybody. So we should definitely allot topics, and we should definitely think out of the box. The syllabus is one thing. We are learning everything. Like every year, the same syllabus is there, and every student is learning the same thing. So if we can, I think that it will help people, and it would definitely excite them to learn something or the other because learning will always help.
Okay. Any of the others? Pavan, Johan?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Anybody? Yeah.
Hello,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, the case study which I did, it taught me a very important lesson. It taught me, this whole study has taught me that memorization isn't knowledge. Because when you memorize something, you go and write it in the exam, then you come back. In Bhagavad Gita, it is written that a knowledge enclosed in books is none of your use. You are like a lame person then. It is just a weight on the books and weight on earth. But actually when I read everything, I understood what our history, what our culture is, how shipbuilding came into India. I tried to connect how economy reacts with shipbuilding, how shipbuilding reacts with history. I joined those points, and then I understood syllabus should be very much wide. This isn't a subject to be ended in 2 years. This study shouldn't end in 2 years. It is like for lifetime you will study, things will happen, and for lifetime you'll have to take it.
Good.
So it was widening of my thoughts, ma'am.
Okay. Any other suggestions?
And it prompted me to also sit for UPSC.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am, with respect to, I'm not that much learned person to give any suggestion, But I'll surely say one thing, ma'am. A good instructor or guide is need of the hour, starting from the day you enter college to the day you leave college and you are in the industry. One person will be assigned to you who will also look towards your emotional, your qualitative and quantitative every aspect. He should be like a father figure. That's why we have the gurukuls that were there in the olden days. They left groomed gentlemen into the society.
Well,
So
we gave
that
up
is
on
what I
those.
think.
We gave up on those. That's a problem. Yes, Ayush, you wanted to share something?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I would like to
Thank you,
thank
ma'am.
you for giving us this platform. All the dignified viewers. Certainly, it has been a long way, ma'am. Not just personally, professionally as well. It made me more confident. It made me know more about my sector, about, about my industry, and
Mm.
certainly what is the introspection which I visualize and introspection, retrospection, and visualization. It's all about that which I realized in this field. Like, how can I see the future of my industry? How are the youth doing in this? I am certainly thankful to you so that I can see so many good presentations and know so many good members or co-mates of other campuses as well. It was a good platform for overall interaction for me as well as for everyone, I guess. So I would certainly thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, Ayush. So I think with
I
those,
have got
yes,
one point.
yes, Priyanka. Yeah.
My there was one point in my presentation about the capabilities. Like, if we don't know how to use the information from the cloud, then the cloud is not that beneficial for us. So, in our personal life as a student, I would like to add on, like,
Mm.
if I'm just doing it for the sake of having a good job, a good salary, that is not enough. We have forgotten. We are just running behind that this course will give us that much of salary, so we should go for it and we just have to clear it. But we are not going in depth of it, we are not understanding it, we are not taking this subject seriously. We are just into going and just clearing and the exams and just going for the jobs, thinking more about jobs than doing about our subjects. So we should make ourselves capable to get the job we want instead of just running behind it.
I think a very mature statement coming from a youngster. I think this was why this was one way of expanding your horizon, going out of the syllabus, hearing people so that it influences your thinking out of the box. So hopefully you will take this forward on your own to see where are the resources from which you can gain these knowledge, this open up your vista of thinking. That's a whole idea. I think that's syllabus is just to prepare you for a certain exam and a paper and interviews and for a job, but you have to be more than that. You're absolutely right. Yes, I think we have come to the end of this session, run out of time too. Thank you so much for thank you the students for taking the pains to uh, follow the instructions, do extra work on your own, taking the pains to make beautiful presentations. Very encouraging, very inspiring. I hope the other students who are listening in on YouTube are also inspired, and I'm sure there are faculty who guided you. So thank you the faculty, and I'm sure it's inspired the faculty to do more such short exercises while we are online, and it can be even in person, we can have other exercises. So stay safe, wish you very best, and thank everybody for the patience for sitting through this session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you
Thanks a
all.
lot, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
ma'am.
Mr. Giridharan, for coordinating the whole thing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, directors. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.